Hey guys, Sandy here, and welcome to Off the Board for the month of June 2020. Today I am actually going to be using my For the Love of Homemades kit, and I am using this pin off of my Pinterest board. Now I'm not going to be using the layout or maybe the color scheme a little bit because some of the colors are similar, but everything on this layout is outlined in black. And I really like that, so I'm going to do that on my layout. And I'm scrapbooking this photo of the breakfast that Lana made for me last year for Mother's Day. So let's see what I can do. So I have already taken my grid paper, my dot grid paper that was in my kit, and I went ahead and trimmed that down and mounted it on a sheet of black cardstock. Now the black cardstock was not in my kit, so I did have to pull that from my stash. And as you guys know, I'm totally cool with adding stash to my kits. The way I look at it, I'm just using more stuff. I don't want to be confined by saying I can only use this kit. I like to bring in other things. That's what makes me happy. So I went ahead and used my scalloped border punch on this teal, kind of like teal patterned paper that came from the Heidi Swapp Art Walk project pad. I think it's Art Walk. I'm pretty sure it's Art Walk. The project pad, and then I'm just going to trim that down, and then I'm going to place it on top of a sheet of black cardstock, and I'm going to fussy cut around it. And I'm going to do that because, like I said, the thing that really I really enjoyed from the pin that I had on Pinterest was that everything was outlined in black. Now, by the time we get to the end, you will see there are a couple things that I do not outline in black, and I just felt like they didn't need to be. They did not need to be, so I didn't do it. So I am trying to be smart about this, and I am going to use my trimmer to cut the straight portion, and then I'm just going to use my scissors to fussy cut around the scallops. Now, again, I am holding my scissors and my cutting arm still. My wrist is pretty much locked. There is small wrist movement, but the majority of the time I am fussy cutting, I am moving my opposite hand. The only thing that I really want to do with my fussy cutting hand is to open and close the scissors. So I go ahead and get that done. And then there's just a couple little places where I feel like I need to trim it a little bit, so I go ahead and do that. So that has worked out well. And then I have to figure out how I am going to do this layout. Now, the wood grain paper is from Fifth and Monaco, and it is a gorgeous wood grain. I'm going to go ahead and use that, and there is going to be black cardstock on either side of that as well. Now, I don't mat it. This layout ends up being a pretty heavy layout. There's not a whole lot of embellishing going on, but there is a lot of paper, so it does end up being a pretty heavy layout. So I don't mat the wood grain paper. I'm just basically filling the edges with the black. Now, I also make the wood grain paper go from edge to edge. I don't have the wood grain paper look like it's matted, and I am okay with that as well. Like I said, you know, at the end there's some things that don't get completely matted on black cardstock, and I think it looks good. I like the effect of there's a place for the page to escape, which is kind of weird because most of the time I am adding borders, whether that's a cardstock border or a hand-drawn border or peel-offs or whatever I'm doing, because I want to contain the layout. But for this layout, I like the little escape. And what I mean by that is the wood grain does not have black at the top or the bottom. And for some reason, I just liked that. Now this is a specialty paper from Tonic, and it is gorgeous. It is an embossed paper and it keeps its emboss. So even though I cut it, even though I am flattening it out on this piece of black cardstock, it keeps the emboss. And that is awesome for me. I just love the texture of it. I love the feel of it. It's just a good quality paper. And I have some varying styles of it, and I just love it. So now I'm going to tuck my little scalloped piece under there. And I'm just trying to figure out like what some good placement is. How much of the scallop I want you to see. How much of the textured paper should be overlapped. Like it's just me trying to figure that out. Now for my photo, I triple matte the photo, which is something I used to do awful lot. I would have one thin matte, a thicker matte, and then the thin matte again. I basically do that with this photo where I have the photo outlined in black, and then I'm going to go ahead and use this paper from Echo Park. But I decide that the photo mat is not going to be huge, so I'm not going to go back to almost like going back to my roots and doing that style of triple matting. The middle is thicker, but it isn't a huge like pronouncement of a thicker mat, and that is what I used to do back in the day. I especially loved doing it with Basil cardstocks. Basil used to come in packs of 3 and 4. You could buy a multi-pack, and they would have varying shades of the same color, and I just thought that they made the most beautiful photo mats doing that. So I get that down, and then you can see like all the black outlines, and I'm really a fan of this. Like I like the way that this is turning out. I just need to figure out what in the world I am doing embellishment wise, title wise, journaling wise. I'm like, what is going on here? So I have this scrap of paper, and this is an old scrap of paper. It's from Die Cuts with a View, and I wish I could remember the name of the stack. It was like the Elegant stack or something like that. It's a very old stack. I still have some of the 8x8 papers. It was flocked. Some of the pages were flocked. I just loved it so much. It was like cream and black. It was just a great stack. So that's from that. I made it stretch, so I cut it down so that I could fit it on either side of my photo. I pull out this cork ampersand that has some teal in it. I felt like I needed to bring in the teal some more because I don't have a lot of teal on the layout. I just have the scalloped piece that I had punched out. So I'm thinking, the title is going to be something and beautiful, because I do have this chipboard that was in my kit. I'm thinking about pulling in some wood veneer. I'm also thinking about putting a doily up there. The doily does not go on the page. I really like this hello, and it has this yellow acetate behind it, but when you put the hello on the black cardstock, you really don't see the yellow anymore. And if you do get a tinge of the yellow, I'm okay with it. It doesn't really bother me. But, if it bothers you, you could peel off that little acetate piece and then go ahead and just put it on the black cardstock. And I think that is something that we forget we can do, is like we can make our things work for us. Like I love this little piece, but if I wasn't matting it on black and I needed it to be a different color, I would peel off that acetate in a heartbeat and put something else behind it. Yeah, I would just do that. So I matte the cardstock, or I matte the chipboard beautiful on top of cardstock, and then I really messed up the hand cutting on that, so I just tossed that to the side and tried again. So I know it's going to be hello, something, and beautiful. And I'm trying to figure out what that title is going to be while I straighten out my papers here. I realized that they were super crooked, and sometimes if my papers aren't completely straight, I'll let it go, but there are some times where I'm like, whoa, that's a lot of crooked and it needs to be fixed. And in this case, it was a whoa, that's a lot of crooked, it needs to be fixed. I couldn't figure out where I wanted that hello to overlap. It didn't really look right anywhere where I was overlapping it on the right hand side on top of the photo, so I decided to just overlap it over here on the left hand side. Here's where I try out that gold doily, and that's a hard no. Hard no. Just doesn't work. Now I thought about putting the ampersand down and cutting around it and matting that on black as well, but that's one of the things I felt like it really didn't need it. I also didn't feel the need to put the black cardstock around the wood veneer heart. So I discovered that I have enough letters in this pack to spell out tasty. So my title is Hello, Tasty, and Beautiful. And I know that it says hashtag beautiful, but I'm really just ignoring the hashtag. I'm not a huge hashtag person on my scrapbooking. I don't mind hashtags on Instagram whatsoever, but in my scrapbooking is just not really my thing. So I'm ignoring it. It's there, but I'm ignoring it. So I go ahead and get the ampersand down. I need to add a little bit more adhesive to that chipboard because hello, it's a thicker, so we know that the adhesive is not going to stick. And then of course these are thickers as well, so I grab my Tonic Nouveau Deluxe adhesive and I'm going to go ahead and just do a couple drops on the back to make sure that it sticks down. Now the good thing about the Tonic Nouveau Deluxe is that bad boy sticks. Like it sticks. It is a matte finish. It dries clear, and I love this stuff so much. So much. It's good stuff. All right, so we're going to make sure that that stuff sticks down, and then I'm like, okay, we need to bring in something. I just need to bring in something. I hated the floral up there, and then I was like, oh, maybe we should bring in the floral here, because that's a lot. Where I'm covering up, that was a lot of lines that just like went there. And this is another thing that doesn't get the black cardstock around it. I just felt like it didn't need it. I did add a foam square because there were so many paper layers that this die cut was kind of hanging down. So I needed the foam square up there to make sure that the die cut was flat. I added that little copper paper clip because that was in my kit. Honestly, guys, if the paper clips were not part of the recipe for the homemade kit, I probably wouldn't use them, but I use them because they are a recipe of the kit. I do add that little black kind of heart-shaped arrow right there, and then that's where I'm going to put my journaling. So I know that it looks kind of stark, but it's okay. I'm going to put my journaling there. I do grab some black eyelets, not eyelets, some black, whoa, what are these things called? The words, enamel dots, some black enamel dots. They're from Eyelet Outlet. I got 2 packs of them for my birthday from my husband, because can you believe it? The man watches my scrapbooking videos sometimes and he listens to what I say. I had been saying that I needed black, oh, what are they called? Enamel dots. Thanks, Lana. Lana's over here whispering enamel dots at me. Like, come on, Mom, get it together. So I add my journaling right here. And then I decide to add one little line over here, calling attention to the leaf on the page and or on the omelet. And that's going to do it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you real soon for another